Baseball cards collecting and investing. His name is Andy. My name is Carter. And look, I got to keep it simple, guys. We are chatting retail wax today. You see the poll question if you're watching this live, but if you're watching this down the road, whether it be on YouTube or on podcasting platforms around the world, answer this question right now. Are you going into Walmart or Target or wherever and buying retail wax? Andy, this is something you've been pretty passionate about as Optic is starting to hit the shelves.
It has. Yeah, it has. I haven't personally found any yet at Walmart or Target, but I can't say that I've tried. So, but what I have done, Carter, is I've watched hours and hours of footage on YouTube of these guys ripping retail blaster boxes. There's a couple of YouTubers out there. I forgot their name, but a lot of views, right? And this year was interesting because the retail product came out before the hobby product was released. So these guys were literally ripping the first product off the line, blaster boxes. They each ripped almost a case full of blaster boxes. So like I watched like 40 blaster boxes being ripped last week.
And what were the results?
Well, they each pulled downtowns from this case of blaster boxes. So there's at least an Optic downtown per box. So one guy pulled a Justin Herbert, the other guy pulled an Adrian Peterson. But what I thought was most interesting, because we know one of the biggest chases like in Optic or any year's product is the rookies, the rated rookies, right? The iconic Optic rated rookie, Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell. There were very few of these quarterbacks pulled from this product. I literally watched this guy rip the first video, 15 blaster boxes of Optic, and only pulled 2 Brock Purdy rated rookies and 1 Kenny Pickett, and it was a colored parallel. It was absolutely insane how few rated rookies of the top quarterbacks from the 2022 class was in this retail product.
So what we want to know, type Y for yes, type in the no or in for no in the live chat right now. Have you bought wax from retail? I'm going to be honest, Andy, I don't live far from a Walmart. I walked in, I saw some Prism, I saw a lot. I am just targeting singles. I'm to the point now where I'm just not buying boxes at all. Now that I get this itch even talking about it, I probably will buy something, but a bunch of Bowman Chrome U is just sitting there, and that's been my favorite rip of the season. There's Prism Blasters sitting there. I'm still not buying them. Some of it is me saving up for the National along with you. Some of it is just me solely being a singles guy. I know if I had a kid, you know, kids like to rip stuff, as many of you would probably know. But look, I'm just being very selective because the prices of these blasters are brutal. And I'm hearing these horror stories of blasters being ripped. And right now, as you can see on eBay, you can get one for $46. If you get one retail after tax, I would guess it's probably going to be $40 or so. I'm just not doing it, Andy. I've just wised up, and I see people just getting their hearts shattered.
Yeah, I mean, if you are doing it, it makes sense to go for the case approach so that you're pretty much guaranteed to pull a downtown. Otherwise, the hit rate on these, especially on the quarterbacks, or even guys like Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. I mean, I was just blown away by how few of these guys were in there. And there was very few serial number cards. There was a lot of colored parallels, a lot of purple shock, or like in this Target box, you know, they're advertised a lot of like the pink parallels. There's a lot of non-serial number parallels, which don't really do great long-term. Like that's like a $20 card max for like, you know, for skill position players. And then, yeah, I can get like $50 card for, you know, some of these quarterbacks. But, and we don't know, like typically, like if you go back and look at 2021, the gem rate, the grade hit of getting the PSA 10 on an Optic is not good. It's not good at all. It's a lot higher in the base donors. And this year's Optic makes it really challenging to tell, you know, the centering on the card. And then you always have the surface issues with Optic, just like you have with like a Mosaic, you know, whether it's dimples or print lines are always an issue. or scratches and stuff like that. So yeah, whenever I can buy a Brock Purdy base optic for like $15 or a Kenny Pickett, like why am I going and spending $35-40 on a plaster box when it's like a 1 in 10 or 1 in 15 box chance of even pulling one of these quarterbacks, Carter?
Yeah, or just like you said, Sauce Gardner or Chris Olave, anyone that's
Yeah.
really good from this last rookie class. And I'm to the point now where if I go, now that the prices of these blasters are so high, and I absolutely just wanted to rip it, I would not clean out a shelf. What I would do, let's just say, let's just do some math. Let's say there's 15 blasters just sitting there, and you want to hold some of them sealed and all of that. Cool. I totally get it. Buy some sealed wax, hold on to it forever. They normally do good in the long term. But if your goal, Andy, is to rip all of it open, just buy a hobby box when they come out, because you get, to me, just more ROI on some potential autographs and what you could potentially get out of that box. Now, it's far more expensive than just like a single blaster. But if once again, I wanted to splurge and rip with the family or whatever, just go get a hobby.
Yeah, I like the distribution in a hobby box. I will say, out of the 15 blaster boxes, I saw the guy pull one autograph card. And then I watched the next guy. He didn't pull an autograph card until he ripped like 20. So there's seemingly only one optic auto per blaster box case of like 30 blaster boxes. So that's very, very low. And sometimes they don't put autographs in retail product at all. So, there is autographs in the retail products. The hit rate is super low, and in a hobby box, you're typically guaranteed an autograph. You're guaranteed, a bunch of these different inserts. It's a more fun rip. It's a funner experience. You're probably gonna get at least one of these, notable quarterbacks, even if it is like Desmond Ridder or Sam Howell or something, and you're gonna pull a serial numbered card, and you get a little bit more variety. You have a little bit more like quality there to the hobby box rip. And this was brand new retail boxes as well, when we know that's when the hit rate is the highest, logically speaking, because they want to get people excited and interested in the product. And they put a couple new inserts in there this year, Carter, like the die cut X's and O's and a diamond hands. Justin Jefferson looks pretty cool. So there's some cool looking inserts, new inserts in there. But ultimately, it is 100% going to be a singles targeted. I would recommend that people target the singles only from this, unless you have a lot of entertainment value and ripping and going for the gamble of pulling something nice.
We take a look at the chat. Derek and Chad are both still big on the Bowman U train. I like it because the actual price of the blaster is cheaper as well. But yeah, if you like gambling, that's essentially what you're doing. Buy that wax, give it a rip. You never know. You have higher upside if you do get that one card, that gold number to 10 card. But let's be honest, stick to the singles market because you know what you're getting, right? That's one thing I absolutely love. Now, something else I'll mention, Andy, about retail wax just in general. It's not just football wax that is sitting on the shelves. It's all of it, right? I am just seeing photos everywhere at major retailers across the country of piles of Contenders basketball, piles of soccer, right? It's very interesting, Andy, that I just think everybody in general, yeah, there's still people out there that clean out the shelves. Yeah, there's still some people out there that have to rip NBA Monopoly Prism. But for the most part, I just think overall, Andy, people have just wised up and have just become singles guys.
Yeah, especially when you start looking at the grade hit rates too, and you can target those sets that have a high hit rate, and then you can get into examining those raw cards and submitting them for grading. You know exactly what you're getting. You know the player that you're getting into, and hey, let's face it, Carter. I want to get into some Brock Purdy, man. I'm in on Brock Purdy for the long term now after the S2 cognitive results have come back. So I absolutely want to target some singles if I can at a discount. Maybe getting a little injury discount right now. I'm seeing a $15 optic rated rookie. It seems like I'll take a chance on that when there's only one being pulled out of every 10 blaster boxes.
I feel bad for the Strat man. He says I spent $360 on Monopoly NBA Prism. Sorry, I did. I just don't get the appeal, and I'm an NBA fan, not a basketball card aficionado by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't get it at all. But yeah, I recently, now once again, it's just anecdotally, everyone I know that's ripped wax is just sad. There's I'm not getting anything. Maybe, Andy, it's this quarterback class just isn't really that great, right? If you, Andy, are crossing your fingers on Mr. Irrelevant after an elbow surgery being the flag waver of this class, it's not good. It's not good at all. I'm not really a Kenny Pickett guy by any stretch of the imagination, with Joe Shiesty and Deshaun and Lamar being in that division. It is it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. If that's what you want to do, we say hi to Victor Brochachos. Andy, I've never even heard that term before. Brochachos.
Brochachos. I like it, man. Yeah, so I was talking to Derek who and Chad in our Discord, who absolutely cleaned up this draft season on the incoming rookie class on the Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. The Anthony Richardson was a big one because he was a guy that came in projected a lot lower until the combine. That whole record-breaking performance that he had, and he just skyrocketed up, and then the Colts took him number 4, which I'm sure Shane Steichen had a lot to do with that. But then you look at the draft class for next year, and it was this time last year that Chad and Derek were buying the guys that are coming out the next year because they're already in the Bowman U first product. They're printing the top juniors in the class, like your Caleb Williams and your Braylon Allens and stuff like that. There's no Drake May, believe it or not, out yet, but I'm saying that, it's always better to be in super early than it is to be in too late after they've already gone on ESPN as the, Daniel Jeremiah's first round draft pick projections.
As Brad Nolan says here, the only rule is to buy Mitchie football cards, baby. Trubisky Nation. Let's go. But yeah, all things considered, Andy, I wanted to bring up a quarterback actually on cue here from Brad. Every week we normally discuss, a quarterback. We've discussed Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder in recent episodes. Andy, I want your honest thoughts from the heart on Justin Fields going into next year and Justin Fields football cards that are out there in the atmosphere.
Yeah, my honest thoughts are that I'm bullish on Justin Fields. I think he's going to be probably one of the most hyped up quarterbacks at the National in Chicago, coincidentally. So it's I think it's kind of a perfect storm for Justin Fields. And you add in new weapons. They invest a lot through the draft in the offensive line, and they build in the trenches. I think the defensive secondary is massively underrated. I think they've got some really solid potential there on defense. And then you now take a new year for Justin Fields. You get Darnell Mooney back healthy. A new year after kind of unlocking that Lamar Jackson game plan code that they said they were, that they unlocked halfway through the season last year. We saw the rushing upside. So now it's can DJ Moore and another year greasing the groove with the coaching staff, really develop his passing game? Can we make him into the complete package? And I think a lot of people are expecting that, yes, he can take that leap. I have seen him throw, when I witnessed, not in person, but watching the film, him throw some really nice looking deep balls. And I think with a better complement of weapons and now greasing the groove with a second year of play calling and scheming around this super mobile game plan, I am bullish on him. And in terms of his football cards, he's noticeably cheaper than Trevor Lawrence. And I think that's a big factor there. The only difference that I see is that I see a much clearer path for Trevor Lawrence to win the AFC South, and I have that little assurance of them making the playoffs. Whereas Justin Fields in the NFC North, I think it's going to be a much more difficult road, but the NFC is pretty much wide open. So I think that they can easily grab a wild card spot if they do things right. I mean, I think there's going to be a massive improvement over last year, just in terms of win-loss. Win-loss, they normally don't get the Packers in week 1, but they've got an iconic Packers versus Bears in Chicago week 1. This is a massive matchup with a ton of media focus and eyeballs out of the gate. They beat that game against the Packers and Jordan Love, and Fields come out and lights things up. I could see his cards going up. There's a high gem rate on his base Donruss compared to the Optic. Those are still that's like a $5 card, Carter. $19 PSA grading with like a 60-70% chance to get a 10. A lot of upside and those kind of plays, or the more rare stuff. The one thing I will say, Carter, is that Justin Fields rookie autograph stuff, a lot of its redemptions are sticker autos, man. He does not have many on-card autos. I don't know if he didn't show up to the signing events that they had, that these guys show up to, or what happened there. Something like that happened, because he's still got a ton of redemptions and a ton of sticker rookie ticket autos. I think those are holding the values of those cards down a little bit, but all in all, they're half the price of Trevor Lawrence, even the rare stuff. So I think when you take the Chicago fan base and the market size and their opening schedule into consideration, I can totally put together a narrative of why I should buy Justin Fields right now for the beginning of the season.
Chicago's never had just this legendary quarterback, right? I mean, they had McMahon and he was great, but he was the 4th or 5th best player on those Bears teams led by Fridge. So yeah, I mean, Chicago is yearning for a superstar quarterback. They had to sit through so many years of mediocre Jay freaking Cutler, and now they have someone who is the opposite. He's not a statue. He is a playmaker. He does have a lot of flair and excitement to his game, and he's going to have a few of these spike weeks that will get people flocking to go buy his cards. It's something else. It might be smart if you are able to snipe a few Justin Fields cards, and if you're going to the National, he's going to be hot at the National, scorching hot, which is happening in Chicago, which, of course, there's going to be a lot of people trying to get their hands on Justin Fields stuff. And remember, if you make a deal at the National, by the way, Andy and I will be there along with Brad Nolan. Guess what? You're getting cash. You're getting cash in hand, or a major trade in hand that could do you wonders. So I think getting some Justin Fields capital in your potential investment flipping collection could be a very fruitful thing for you. And one thing I did see last year at the National, Andy, were the quarterbacks who had not proven anything. They were hot. Trey Lance cards moving like crazy. Zach Wilson cards moving like crazy. Justin Fields has shown us more, and I think it's pretty certain that he's better than those guys, and even a Mac Jones, who was really hot last year at the National. So I think it's probably smart to get a Fields in your collection.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that's a good play, Carter, especially if you can find them at or below current comps, because you just look at this data, man. You compare them against the draft class, particularly Trevor Lawrence, because these are our notable guys now. These are our survivors from the 2021 class. Of course, Mac Jones, but I guess I would put Mac Jones in there because he is still starting as of right now, and he does have first-round draft capital. So I think it's important to take a look, because he does the Patriots, market is massive. So it just kind of paints a whole picture. He's at the bottom of the first-round starting range from 2021 at a $30 trend on his base Donruss PSA 10. Then you have Justin Fields at $45 base Donruss PSA 10, and then Trevor Lawrence at $110. So you can see, people are routinely paying up for Trevor Lawrence. In this case, I mean, over twice as much. And the volume is solid for Justin Fields. And in the past 30 days, PSA 10 sold volume here. Justin Fields has got the Donruss, the Prism, the Phoenix Fireburst there, and the Optic over a lot of Trevor Lawrence cards. You know.
Victor said he's going to be at the National, so we'll see you there. Pretty excited about that. Um, but yeah, if you're able to find cards, and anytime you get a card in that 20, 30, lower $40 range, it does give you potential upside more so than buying a card at like, you know, 400, 500, $600, right? That's something I've always, seen. One of my biggest mistakes was buying a Jameis Winston card for $400 last year, not taking profit when I could have, and I held on to it just to gamble, just to see what could potentially happen. Keep in mind, the before season flip is normally a good thing, Andy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, I mean, look at what DeAndre Hopkins is going through right now. Before season flip, new opportunity for a lot of these guys. And this could be potentially the most hyped up that they're going to be. I look at like a quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo. It kind of reminds me of Jameis Winston heading into last season. A little bit different, but similar veteran quarterback, battling injuries and questionable play with the new team scenario. And just whenever they have that type of hype, like there's new collectors from the new team. There's people that believe that they're going to exceed expectations. There's people that are totally buying into the hype. And then they could, I mean, there's a short leash. I mean, first game, he could throw 2 or 3 interceptions and the team loses, and all of a sudden he loses a ton of prospect, like collectors and investors first cards, and then they're never the same after that. You can never climb out of that hole.
So here's what's really cool. If you love football cards, I guarantee you will love Best Ball with Underdog Fantasy. Sign up now. Link is down below. Promo code QUEST, or you can use my promo code Carter, either one. But promo code QUEST, and you get yourself a bonus, get your drafts in, all the good stuff, and it supports Andy. Now, if you are watching this live, you want to get a question in right now, feel free to super chat it. We'll go straight to it. Now, my question for you, Andy, is, we've talked about sealed wax. We've talked about, one player in particular. What over this past week has really stuck out to you in terms of football cards outside of what we've already discussed today?
That's really stood out. I think the biggest thing that stood out to me was the difference in Jalen Hurts' rare stuff. So, like, whenever I go and look at the Prism PSA 10 or the Optic PSA 10 or the Donruss PSA 10 for 2020, it's very, very close between Herbert and Jalen Hurts. Very close. But then Burrow is probably about another $100 to $150 more for each of those base card sets in PSA 10 format than those guys. But then I go to the rookie ticket autos. The Joe Burrow rookie ticket autos raw are still going for $2,500 a piece. The Herberts are still going for $2,500 a piece. And then the Jalen Hurts are about $750 a piece. So there's still a big disparity in his rare stuff compared to those guys' rare stuff. And then you've got Tua that's even lower than Jalen. Like, there's still, like, Tua stuff can be bought like, if you wanted to build a super rare Tua collection, like, now's the time to do it. I mean, his stuff is very, very cheap if you thought he was actually going to make it long term.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. When you look at the rare prices of Jalen, look, I know a lot of people look at Jalen Hurts and they think he's a product of his environment. And look, good weapons help out. But Jalen looked really good last year. It's not, I think it's opposite of Tua. I think Tua is just a byproduct of his environment. I do think Jalen is himself a big time difference maker. Now, one thing I will say, Andy, before we continue this Jalen Hurts conversation, the chat is going a little crazy over tight ends right now. is there a market for tight end cards the same way as there is for wide receiver cards? Obviously Travis Kelce is on his own stratosphere, and his 2013 stuff is just incredible. It just looks great, but it is also very expensive. But overall, what is your thought process behind tight end cards?
Well, I do compare them to a wide receiver. I put them in that same classification, but the tight end's got to be elite. Let's put it that way. The tight end's got to be elite. They got to check a lot of the boxes. Like you could look at a guy like Evan Ingram who had one, 4 or 5 touchdown game, monster performance. That was heading into the playoffs for the Jags, and he was very fantasy relevant last year. But he still plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still a small sample size. And he's now a veteran, heading into like his 6th year. So, there wasn't really a spike. There were people were buying some nice autograph stuff for like $20, but it's nothing like what we have seen Mark Andrews or George Kittle. And there's a combination of George Kittle not having very many rookie cards. There's also Mark Andrews having a lower amount as well. And then you have Travis Kelce in his own stratosphere. On the hype index, Travis Kelce's like 10 points ahead of everybody else on that thing. And I think there's just the tight ends really got to produce, man. The tight ends got to produce. But if they start producing multiple touchdown games consistently, and they're checking the box of, big fan base, big market size for the team, collection base, and the team is solid. They're in good standings in the NFL. And there's that expectation there that they could be a consistent performer. We could see some pretty decent prices. Like Cole Kmet actually gets pretty decent prices, pretty decent demand on his rookie cards. Like this National Treasures 3 out of 10 jumbo booklet here for $62. It's not like, right? If that was 2020 Joe Burrow, I mean, you're looking at probably having to sell a house for $100,000 to get that card. But for Cole Kmet, it's affordable, and it's not like as low as that card could get, but it's pretty it's pretty cheap, to get into the tight ends cards.
Yeah, I agree with the chat. I don't think Cole Kmet's any good. I wouldn't spend a dime on him. But there are some tight ends that interest me, right? Like Foster Moreau. He's got a story. He's back in New Orleans. He's overcoming cancer. You can get his autos, some of his Prism autos, $3-4. And I'm an LSU guy, so I'm obviously super biased towards someone like him. But still, I tend to stay away from tight ends, even though this tight end draft class is very interesting with Dalton Kincaid going to the Bills using some first round capital. But he's going to be more of a receiver, if anything. Kyle Pitts came in with just so much freaking hype, and people were just let down. People were just burnt. And Andy, you do this every week. This is part of the reason why you should join the Football Card Discord. Every week you do hype indexes for all the positions, and this is what you have for tight ends.
Yeah. During the season, we do update this every week. It does take into account how good the team is, how big their market is, how big is their social media following. It also takes into account the age and the draft capital that was spent on the player, and then how likely they are to make the Hall of Fame. And then also their dynasty fantasy football value, which, that takes into account their athletic profile, their production metrics, their efficiency metrics, their contract situation. So we take all those things into consideration to build a hype index. And you can see like the Dalton Kincaid I have tied with Dallas Goedert, right ahead of Kyle Pitts. A lot of that is because the first round capital spent on Dalton Kincaid, he goes to the Bills, which is the blue bar. So you have a solid team score, maybe not as big as the Eagles or the Chiefs, but it's very solid in Buffalo. First round draft capital. The guy's like 21 and a half years old, and he immediately gets a pretty decent dynasty ranking as well, because he was a pretty dominant receiver in college. So, he's got a lot of things going for him. I know the Bills, they just had a news release saying they weren't quite sure how they're going to use him and stuff, but I mean, that is a lot of what drives, hype for these players. And just the tight end market, like it falls off pretty quick, Carter. It falls off pretty quick, and Kyle Pitts, if he had a better team scenario, I mean, the guy's got potential to be up here, but that you can see that's what's holding him back. The blue bar is so small for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, it's just not. Is he gonna get the targets? Is he gonna be 100% healthy entering the season? And the Atlanta Falcons are right now, they're pretty low on the power rankings. They're a pretty decent market, but they got an uphill battle, man, out of the NFC South, and on a run heavy team that just spent the number 8 overall pick on Bijan Robinson, and you got a totally unproven quarterback in Desmond Ridder. So.
But you're showing no love to Darren Waller here. Did D Waller not make this chart?
Wait, where's Darren Waller? He's got to be on here. I'm sure he's on here.
There he is
right here. Yeah, I mean, so he's got a pretty solid blue bar with the Giants now. The problem is, look how old he is, and the draft capital is not there for Darren Waller, nor is age on his side. He does have a little bit of Hall of Fame in him because of his years in Vegas and the resurgence of his career, but he also doesn't have very large. I mean, he's got like a normal size dynasty value these days. I mean, it's lower than a guy like Greg Dulcich, about the same as like an Evan Ingram, So, and now he's got an uphill climb, and he's so old. Like, how is he going to be able to produce enough with the Giants to generate enough hype? Now, when the season starts, Carter, this yellow bar becomes a production over or under expectations result-oriented score. Right now, it's all based on dynasty lifetime value, and which is where those things we just talked about, expectations heading into the season based on what he's done in the past and his contract situation and everything. But once the season starts, does he exceed or underperform what he was projected to do? Has the role changed at all? What's his average weekly targets like? How many routes is he running? So we can get a good idea. If he's exceeding that by a large margin, all of a sudden he's getting positive points added to this yellow bar at the end, which will help him jump up, in the hype index rankings. And so if the team wins, that's an additional point too. So, those exceeding expectations and team wins will help him climb this, but he's got an uphill battle at this point with how old he is.
I just looked, his cheapest rookie ticket auto right now is $50, and that's just way too much. Right? I'm just staying away from that. It's a sticker too, and he is in a Ravens uniform, wearing the number 12 uniform that is known for Jacoby Jones, if anything else. I love me some Jacoby Jones, by the way. But yeah, as you can see, I was a best offer accepted, so that was under $30, but still, it is kind of expensive for Darren Waller. But I think he can have a big year. I really do. Someone else I personally like a lot is David Njoku. I have a few of his Prism rookies. I bought this one as a buy it now for $1 off of eBay, last week. And all the rookies in this draft class are singles from, the 2017 season. So for $1, I think he's going to have a few spike weeks with Deshaun Watson and a very interesting crew of receivers. So we shall see. But there are some really good tight ends in the pipeline, as Derek brings up, including probably the most hyped tight end we will see since Kyle Pitts is going to be Brock Bowers. Be on the lookout. He's actually getting some Heisman love going into this next season.
Wow.
Georgia. Like, he had the best first 2 seasons of any tight end ever. He won national championships in both. He was basically All-American in both. He could really play. So be on the lookout.
Carter, real quick, do you feel, because you're a college football expert in my opinion, man, you're one of the best college football channels out there, and I'm curious if you feel that the tight end role in college has changed to be much more receiver focused. Like, I look at Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. I mean, that guy was contributing like something crazy, like 50 or 60% of that entire offensive production. Like he was their leading receiver by a long shot. Like I'm curious what your take is on tight end roles in the college as whole, and if we'll continue to see these first round tight ends coming out. Is it going to be more and more common for draft capital like Kyle Pitts and Dalton Kincaid and stuff?
Yeah, I think just in general, I'm a big film guy, Andy. I think more teams are going to try and run 12 personnel where you have two tight ends on the field instead of one, right? So if you ever hear a coach saying personnel groupings, that's essentially telling you which personnel is on the field. So the first number represents the amount of running backs, and the second number represents the amount of tight ends that are on the field. So a majority of teams, Andy, run 11 personnel, where there's only one tight end and one running back. So think someone like the Bengals, they mostly run 11. So they'll have Joe Mixon and they'll have now Irv Smith, but last year Hayden Hurst, and their three wide receivers, Boyd, Higgins, and Chase. But that's their strength, right? They have great receivers, and that's what they want. The Chiefs last year, Andy, had a lot of success running 12 and 13 personnel. They had better tight ends than they did with receivers. And what Georgia did last year, Todd Monken now with the Baltimore Ravens, they ran a lot of 12. Now, they had great tight ends to run 12 personnel, but I could see more NFL teams running more 12 personnel sets, which would make tight end play more in demand. I very well could see that. Like, for instance, now that Todd Monken's with Baltimore, I know they've spent a lot of capital on receivers, but don't count out, and as Isaiah Likely, don't count out Mark Andrews just yet, because tight ends were such a big part of what Georgia did last year. So I could see, Andy, more tight ends being a bigger part of NFL offenses, and guys like Dalton Kincaid still continue to get drafted in the first round, but we'll see what happens. But for me, I do think Brock Bowers is a real deal, and he is just going to have such a surreal amount of hype going into next year. And I think next year, Andy, we will have one of the most hyped wide receiver tight end classes that we've had, quite simply, since Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, which is going to be Brock Bowers and Marvin Harrison going into next year.
I love that, because I think that's a great pivot play, especially depending on your budget that you have, to pivot off of Caleb Williams, knowing you can't get into Drake May right now, but getting into guys like Brock Bowers, which I'm actually impressed, man. The guy's got a Bowman U first sticker auto, non-serial number. It's $62, closed in auction 2 days ago. That's some hype right there, brother. I'm like, and it's early too. We're in the off season.
That is pretty nasty, and that's the non-licensed Bowman U from 2 years ago. That is absolutely crazy. But yeah, pretty excited about Brock Bowers. I do love watching him play, and if you haven't seen him, they give him handoffs, which is just crazy. They'll give him little running back, little jet sweep kind of runs, and he'll house them. The kid can really freaking play. Now, we're big Bowman U guys anyway. I don't know why. I think we're one of the few YouTube channels that has a bunch of Bowman U fans, not only us, but just in the chat. So I do like that. I do like that college prospecting is a popular thing, at least here. I haven't really looked at all the other channels. I think most like to stick to the pro uniform stuff, and I get it. I totally get it. Now, Andy, let's get to hobby tip of the week. I'll go first. It is very simple. Keep your energy up. Don't get discouraged in the hobby. Enjoy it. Make it what you want it to be. I've not bought a sealed wax product in a while. That's what we started the live stream off with today. It's perfectly fine. Enjoy it. Enjoy whatever you like. Don't feel the need that you absolutely need to rip because everybody else rips. Do what you want to do, right? This is people on cardboard. Enjoy it the way you want to enjoy it. Now, Andy, I know you got a better tip than me. You always do. The floor is yours, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out Bowtie Tim in our Discord and in our Patreon. He had a really interesting tip on eBay buying selling. He actually had his best month yet in eBay sales, and
Let's
and
go.
we're talking here in May. So I'm like, that's awesome, man. And so he said maybe it's just the market heating up, but he started doing something about 10 days ago that he saw about selling on eBay. He said he's listing at least one item every day. Even if it's just one item, he's listing one item at least a day to help improve his views when buyers are searching. I also strongly believe that eBay is more or less, it has a social media type algorithm to where the more active you are, you get that positive feedback. You're also posting stuff and they see that you're selling stuff. They're going to bump you up in that search results algorithm. You obviously you got a title and take good photos and title accurately and all that kind of stuff. But he said he's had more views and watches than ever doing this. And he believes strongly that this has helped him to having the best month in eBay sales that he's had in a while.
Did he do mostly BINs or 99-cent auctions?
I gotta think that he's doing buy it nows.
There
I
you go.
gotta think that he's doing buy it nows. I'm 99% confident in that.
I like that. There you go. Yeah, I'm not consistent. Like there's some weeks where I will list a lot of cards and make money, and then there are other weeks where I'm like, just don't feel like it. Setting aside some time, Sunday has been my day, Andy. Just Sunday afternoons, going through my collection and just saying, what can I 99-cent? I'm going to be doing that pretty heavy this next coming Sunday. So it's very interesting. One thing I haven't done, let's go to Hector's comment here. Upload a video to Pix2, especially for shiny cards. How about that? I didn't
Yeah,
even know
that's a
you could,
new
I didn't even
option
know
available on eBay.
I didn't even know you could do that, Andy.
Yeah, you absolutely can. Hey man, I think that that's a great feature that they added in there. Oh, that's a great hobby tip right there because I just haven't talked a whole lot about that. But eBay definitely has been evolving slowly but surely. They listen to their biggest like their biggest demographic and their biggest market, their biggest users. So I think that's a wonderful addition. Things that are shiny that reflect differently in the light, also things that you can make it more authentic to show the authenticity behind it. Videos really help in doing that as well.
Let's go to Steve. It pays dividends to at least have the listing draft ready to go. I agree. It's listing can be an arduous task, but just do it. List the card. Now, it's not easy to, transition that listing. Let's just say you just wanted to just get it out and you want to just do a 99-cent auction. You do have to create a separate listing. You can't just change it. I wish you could, but still, I totally agree with that, Steve. We say hi to an OG of Andy, Michael Ham. Look at Ham in this thing.
Hey,
Look at that.
I want to know if Michael Ham's found any optic because he's the retail wizard right there. Michael Ham knows how to get him some retail product going back to sports card boom days in 2020. So I'm curious if he's gotten any optic blasters out there.
OG, appreciate it. Keep up the great combos. Can't wait for the season. I like that, OG. CMC 22. Got some Christian McCaffrey love in the chat right now. C-Mac on the Rich Eisen show said, give us running backs more respect. It is interesting, Andy. Do you believe CMC is the RB1 in fantasy this year?
100%. Yeah, one between him and Bijan, but obviously Christian McCaffrey's got a higher potential for not only red zone opportunities but also receiving opportunities. And I mean, you look at his rookie ticket autos; he's got the most expensive rookie ticket autos, like Pro Uniform, $135 on average for his rookie ticket autos. That's followed only behind by Saquon Barkley at $100. For his 2018 rookie ticket autos. And Bijan's Bowman U first auto non-serial number, just like the one we saw for Brock Bowers, that's $100. So I do think Christian McCaffrey's the RB1, but I would not be surprised if once again Austin Eckler does his thing with the Chargers and Justin Herbert. Now they bring in Kellen Moore. I don't know. I think this Chargers offense could be underrated heading into this year. He could emerge once again as like the top touchdown scorer and potentially the top fantasy running back. And he's going underdrafted, man.
I'm drafting a lot of Saquon. I just am. I don't like the Giants running back room behind him. And I think the Giants are going to be decent again this year. I'm also interested in Ramondre Stevenson. This was actually going to be one of my plays of the week for a quick flip. Andy, what do you think about Ramondre?
Oh man, I think it's a great play. I think you could be on the buying or the selling side of Ramondre. He's got a lot of nice product from 2021. He's also got that role locked down. You know, I mean, it's a lot of confidence when the Patriots actually don't spend draft capital on a running back for once, which is mind blowing. And then they let Damian Harris walk to the Buffalo Bills. So yeah, I mean, I think that Ramondre is going to he's got a lot of confidence. Bill Belichick got a lot of confidence in him. And I think he's got a very secure role, rushing and receiving, very efficient. The guy's juke rate and yards earned after carry, forced tackles missed per touch. Like, I mean, the guy's extremely efficient. So I think Ramondre is definitely a guy I would look at wanting to flip.
Ramondre, I just love him. Chad says Ramondre made him money 4 times last year. Hey, that
nice.
That New England Patriots logo, not only does it, it's still a brand, it also matches the PSA slab. I think that's always a very underrated thing about Patriot cards just in general. Ham says he doesn't even touch the optic blasters anymore. I'm glad Ham's logic is in line with mine. I don't either. Like sometimes, Andy, when I go to my local Walmart, I won't even look at it because I know I'd have that itch. And the other day, I went and got my melatonin to sleep at night. Got a pack of water. Got some soap. Got some creamer for coffee every single morning, and all of those quote unquote essential items cost less than what a blaster would be. And that is just crazy to me. And normally my card budget is separate from, my actual life budget. That's always a good thing to do. Don't let your life bankroll get into your hobby bankroll at all. But once you go into like a big retail store, Andy, and you start seeing and scanning the items, it's like, what the hell am I even doing? Why would I buy this wax? Where the best card in this could be, I don't know, Joey Porter Jr. or whoever it may be. It's just not what I like to do anymore. I don't know exactly why. I guess I'm just too wise now for me to really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. You're too wise. You're at the age where you know what you want, man. You know what you want, and it's not gonna be found in a random pack of cards. It's gonna be found targeting whether it's at a show. Maybe you go to a garage sale or even an antique shop. I know some of these places have a lot of potential to find hidden treasures that somebody's like brings in to cash in to take some cash and you can make a cash deal on it. So, I think singles is absolutely the way to go there.
Major W for the QuestCast. One of us met our hero last week, Joe Shiesty. Shout out to the GOAT Joey B for spending some time with your boy and my father. That was obviously a pretty big moment for me, and I actually gave Joe some of my favorite Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase cards. So I hope Joe's enjoying it. But shout out to Joe Shiesty spending some time with your boy. We got to get him on here. right? And while he's getting ready to make the life-changing amount of money, huh? Huh? Who
Yeah.
is your goat that you would want to meet, Andy? Is it Mike Evans, or who would it be?
Man, that would be really cool to meet Mike. Um, yeah, no, that's a really good question. That's a really good question, man. There's a bunch of guys I would like to meet. I'd like to meet some of these coaches as well. You know, I think it would be really cool. Yeah, no, honestly caught me off guard with that one. I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into that, but I think it would be really cool to meet Mike. I mean, he's probably a really big dude in person.
Sean King. Now, that's an OG Buccaneer right there. Sean King would be at. I got some of his cards. The Tulane Green Wave, baby. Let's go. Huh? 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 But there you go. Now, before we get into plays of the week, we will get to as many questions as we possibly can. Late Stick says his goat is Auto Pick Andy. That's
Well,
not a good that's not a good nickname, Andy.
I'll be auto signing cards at the national. If anybody wants to get a auto pick Andy signature,
That
no.
should be.
Hey
I
man,
like. I
it's
like that.
difficult to stream and draft at the same time. I've not mastered it yet by any stretch of the
But
imagination.
what makes it difficult? Why is it difficult?
Well, because I get hung up on stuff and I start talking about somebody's draft pick and diving into their depth charts and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden my pick is up and there's 5 seconds left and I am not prepared for it at all. And so yeah, so balancing the stream of conversation and analyzation, and then also planning my next pick and being ready for my next pick instead of it getting picked for me has been a challenge. But I figured out you gotta queue guys up early, man, Carter. That's the secret. You gotta queue guys up early. So if worst comes to worst, you have a guy there that's reasonable that you get picked.
Let's go to Hector, who says, I rip with my 10-year-old, getting him into the hobby since he will inherit some of my cards. I like that, Hector. That's what it's all about, man. I don't have any kids, but a lot of my hobby love comes from my father. We still collect every year at Christmas. We collect, we get each other stuff. Obviously, his stuff is always better than mine, but it goes a long way. Spend that time with your kiddos. A hobby is a great way to do it. I will say there are kids in my neighborhood who I've gotten into collecting. I give them a ton of base and some hollow refractors and stuff like that. And that's just awesome. So yeah, I see how much kids light up when they get a card. It is way more exuberance than when we get a card, right? Because a kid doesn't know that whether it's a downtown or if it's just in a random invincible insert or whatever. So there you go. Andy, play of the week. I'll let you go first because I went first for a hobby tip of the week.
Yeah, and you shared a great running back play of the week. I'm gonna go wide receiver. I'm gonna pivot off of that. And the guy should be really well known. We talked about the upside of Justin Fields this year, the hype for him. And DJ Moore, when he was traded to the Chicago Bears for that first round number 1 overall pick, there was a lot of hype for DJ Moore. His price has spiked. But since then, man, his cards have cooled off big time. That little initial spike has cooled off big time. And it's like, well, can this passing game get better? Is it going to get better? Are they really going to do enough for DJ Moore? So his fantasy ADP is cooled back off. His rookie ticket auto. Like, I still have DJ Moore based on his age, draft capital spent on him, his prior efficiency and production. I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. If you look at how he's played with the random, different QBs over the course of his pretty short career, you can get a 2018 rookie ticket auto for him for $35. And I think he's an absolute beast. I think he should be in that Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, Devonta Smith type range, but yet, or even higher, because I mean, yeah, I do like Darnell Mooney, but DJ Moore is going to be the alpha. Like he's going to be, he's proven it on multiple, under multiple different quarterbacks in really bad offensive systems where he's just been dominant in terms of air yard share, target share, routes run, snap share. I mean, he's just a guy that is going to be on the field all the time, running all the routes and being targeted all over the field, short, deep, intermediate, everywhere. He can get great separation. He can also generate a ton of yards after the catch and score from pretty much anywhere on the field. So it's like his rookie ticket autos are undervalued. I'm looking at his values across the board. They're undervalued, Carter.
Let me ask you this, Andy. I like DJ Moore a lot. I do. And something else I really like about DJ Moore, his rookie ticket autos look really good. Like he gives a beautiful, beautiful autograph. And that's a little underrated, if you ask me, right? I like my favorite athletes having a fascinating auto. So I know it's not the most important thing, but go look at some of the newer autographs. They are so bad. So I like that DJ Moore is very thoughtful when he gives an auto. Let me ask you this. And there's an example right there. I just love the way that it looks on. I love the 2018 rookie ticket autos in and of themselves, but man, I've just always liked his signature. I don't know exactly why. That's always been something that just gets at me quite a bit. Like for instance, Trevor Lawrence, his penmanship is just immaculate. It looks good. He signs a longer signature too, and it takes a longer time. I appreciate that. I really, really, really do. Great on-card auto, but signs a full-size. Well, send me a photo of it, Derek. I want to see this. Huh?
Yeah, he showed it to us before. I think he's got I think he's got a Maryland helmet DJ Moore signed, and it's like a tiny little signature on the helmet.
Let's go to Ham, who looks at a lot of product. New guys don't seem to take pride in their signature. It's all about what they can do to be quick. I think the signature says a lot about a player and who they are and want to be. So I've been lucky, Andy, to see a few athletes recently sign a bunch of stuff at shows. Like for instance, obviously this is a deeper cut, but like Patrick Queen, he signed a lot of stuff at the last event that I was at. Now, full disclosure, I know Patrick's family, and we did an interview together. So obviously, I'm gonna pump him up, right? But I really do mean it. This guy signed a lot of jerseys for a team that he might not even be playing for next year, and he took the time to give a great signature on each and every one of them. That means something to me. Where like Sadiq Bey of the NBA. Pull up his autograph, Andy. Sadiq Bey. I think it's SAHIDIQ or something like that. I don't know. It would it'll pop up. It is honestly just a line. Sadiq Bey. I don't even know how to spell it, but it's
set me up with that one, man.
Yeah, I think it's BEY Auto. Not Bay as in it's not the type. This isn't the type of website to type in for that kind of Bay. BEY Auto. I think that would pop up. There you
go. SADDIQ.
Yeah, and well, actually, no. I thought I saw him just do like a simple line. Or there you go. Look at that. Look at that. Imagine that being your favorite player's autograph. Ugh. It's brutal, man.
Yeah, there's worse than that in football. We look at like Tyler Huntley, or even T. Higgins auto does not leave you much. So I guess he would be like the exception to that rule, because like T. Higgins, if we think that the penmanship and the autograph kind of dictates some character of the person, then then we have to. I don't know. I don't think that that's a good like that's. I don't think that's a good gauge to have for like totality of the player, but because obviously you got guys like D Higgins that are phenomenal that have terrible penmanship, but maybe he's just an exception to the rule, and maybe we should have a penmanship score on the hype index, Carter. I feel like you guys are kind of lobbying for a penmanship score.
Right now in the comment section, I want people to give me your best. Who is your best auto that might be in your PC? Thundering Cards, we'll see you. Thank you so much for the love, my friend. And if we haven't chatted you out this episode, apologies all around. Man, I'm a huge Jamar Chase fan, Andy. Huge, as you know. He's starting to sign his name differently, and it's still a cool like JC1. But his old J Chase 1 just looks so cool to me. But yeah, players when they sign a bunch of stuff, they mix it up. They can sign whatever they want on there. If they wanted to their signature to be just a smiley face, they could do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, look at Jamar Chase adding the number 1 to all of his sticker autos. Like, I guess he just felt like, that was something that he did a lot of his college autos, and that's what he did on the book of sticker autos. But then if you look at his pro uniform on card autos, a lot of those would just say JC. Now it's almost like he gets to the point where he's had to abbreviate it for whatever, just for efficiency's sake. So I get it, because I can only imagine. I remember whenever I bought my house and I had to sign like a stack of papers. By the time you get to like the 10th, 11th autograph, it definitely starts getting quicker and quicker, and you just like, I don't know. Yeah, you just kind of go with it. So obviously something totally different, but that's the only way I can relate. It's the most I've ever signed something, there to.
One thing, the biggest disconnect quarterback from, and this is going to tie in with signatures, I promise. The biggest quarterback that I see that coaches tell me is great, film Twitter tells me it's great, my own eyes tells me this guy is great, but America doesn't believe it. They think he's just a choke artist. Is Dak Prescott, right? There is a huge gap between people who, devote their lives to studying the sport that think Dak Prescott is very freaking good. And then there is another faction of the audience has seen Dak Prescott not really do anything in the playoffs. And of course, the game versus San Francisco was a disaster. Obviously, Andy, with the signature thing, he gives a very thorough signature, but there's the stamp controversy with old Dak Prescott. So I find signatures to be a very interesting thing. It's always difficult to sign as much stuff as, like a Burrow and a Herbert have to sign. But, for me, I was going to give this for play of the week. I'm very interested in Dak Prescott this next year. Obviously, with the new OC, are you totally out on Dak? His stuff is still kind of expensive, but give me your thoughts on the young man, now old man from Mississippi State.
The team has got a lot of potential. I mean, the defense is really good. They have potential to be a top, 3 to 5 defense in the league. The offense, though, last year they had a top 3 pace of play with Kellen Moore, but that he went to Los Angeles, and now their consultant Brian Schottenheimer becomes their offensive coordinator. I am not a fan of Mike McCarthy. I do not like Mike McCarthy at all. I don't think he's a great coach, and I'm very concerned about them slowing down and becoming more balanced, more run heavy, or just slowing the pace of play down in general to try and lean on their defense more. And I think that just leads to less production for Dak. And I think ultimately when they get into these playoff scenarios or these big game scenarios, yeah, they had a great game against Tampa Bay in the playoffs. Go look at that game. Dak Prescott played phenomenal. And I don't think that we're going to get that consistent of a performance from them throughout the season. So I am concerned about his values. I would rather have Jared Goff going into the season than Dak Prescott.
Ooh.
Same price.
Goffy!
Give me Goff.
Okay, so let me answer this for me. Because this was another quarterback, I was going to save it for next week. Your thoughts in the chat, and we'll end it on this. Thoughts on Russell Wilson next year?
He's got nowhere to go but up. I do think that he's got nowhere to go but up. I mean, that's a guy I haven't even looked at his values. I mean, I think Sean Payton can only help him. They spent second round draft capital on Marvin Mims, who I think is going to become Sean Payton's guy. I wouldn't be surprised still, even though they picked up Jerry Jeudy's 5th-year option. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded like Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton, one of those guys at some point, even though, I think that the passing game is only going to get better in Denver. And we know they've got a very good defense as well. So Russell Wilson's only got room to go up. I mean, obviously he's at the bottom. I mean, he hit rock bottom after last year where his like raw prisms were at $100 and I would say like $120 heading into the season. And now this card, well, I'm looking at his Topps Chrome, which PSA 10, that's 125 right now. The 52-week high though on that card was $560. It was about $300 on average coming into last season, and then tanked all the way down under 100 in December, and now it's kind of flatlined a little bit since Sean Payton has come in to 125. So that's a big decrease.
Man, I want Russ to bounce back hard this year, but God, AFC, man, it's just a murderer's freaking row. 2012. One thing you always preach, Andy, the year the rookie comes out, it's not always apples to apples, right? 2012 was a big year for football cards, obviously that being first year Prism. I remember, Andy, when people were buying this card for $1,000 a pop, and they thought it was a good move. I know a lot of people that bought the PSA 10 rookie Russell Wilson for $1,000 a pop consistently. It's absolutely wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's 100% where his cards were before he got injured in the 2021 season. And he's just kind of gone down ever since. And until the point where they're at now. I mean, a Prism PSA 10 pop of 637, about $175. Look at where he was coming into the season last year, $500 routinely. And now they're flatlined here on a low pop card. Which, Carter, if you noticed, Jackson Smith-Njigba at the rookie premiere last week with Panini highlighted how much he loves the 2012 retro look from the 2022 Prism. He pulled a Kenneth Walker out of it, and he freaking loved that card. He was pumped about it. He thought it was a really cool look, and I just wanted to point that out.
JSN, baby. Let's go.
Speaking of the Seahawks.
Dude, yeah, I'm on the Seahawks train. Get on the Geno train now, because I might be solo on this train, but that's perfectly fine. Let's go to Lee Aaron here. When would you sell Jimmy G?
I would have sold him last week before this latest news article that the Raiders can release him with absolutely no penalty if he does not pass a physical. It's not good for Jimmy G, because apparently he's still struggling with the foot that he had reconstructive surgery on in March. So that's not good at all. I would say what's a very interesting storyline is that Brady apparently wants ownership. The latest on Brady is he wants ownership stock in the Raiders.
Right.
Well, if you look at one of the decent teams, just so happens to have arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL that's active right now, Devontae Adams. I don't know. Brady, you never know. What if he comes back to play for the Raiders? No, Jimmy G? The veteran quarterback market's pretty thin. Would you rather have Matt Ryan or Tom Brady. Maybe convince Tom Brady to play 1 year for the Raiders. Who knows?
I think Matt Ryan's cooked and he knows it. But I also think, once again, Dana White leaked that he was trying to get the Tom Brady to the Raiders, and Gronk kind of sort of confirmed it. And I don't remember verbatim what they said. Not out of the question. Tom Brady, are you freaking kidding me? And the silver and black, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go. Quarterback having equity, right? It is very interesting. One thing I would say is I've listened to some really good videos on this. How much more like the NBA teams make than the NFL teams? Like the Chiefs, their franchise valuation hasn't jumped nearly as much as, let's say, someone like the Golden State Warriors, right? Which is just crazy. But that's a different story for a different day. Andy, another great episode. And once again, we want to shout out and let everyone know we are going to the Nationals. So we want to meet up. And you and I, Andy, we're still trying to plan out everything we want to do. So obviously, we're going to be doing some content and all that stuff. We still don't have badges. If any of you guys know where to get all that stuff, feel free to let us know. We know our audience is diverse and all of that stuff. So there you go. Andy, anything else before we get out of here today?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do a QB or what am I thinking of this guy? Got QBs on the brain, guys. Yeah, cause I just bought another Trevor Lawrence based honors rated rookie before the stream. Just can't turn that $5 base rated rookie down when it's got a 60-70% PSA 10 rate. And we're gonna do a group submission pretty soon through the Quest Patreon program. So yeah, man, looking forward to that and the national. I want to do a Quest meetup. What I was gonna say, I want to do a Quest meetup there and have like a meetup party there for all of us, like where we find a place to get together. And I know we're gonna be collaborating there with the Sports Card Strategy guys, Paul Hickey and Kendall McKee and stuff. So they've got an actual booth. They've got a spot. So we're gonna be posted up there for a little bit. So that's really exciting, man. Really exciting. Can't wait. Happy hunting out there, everybody. Well, I'll actually, I do want to throw this out there. I'm not sure what the live stream schedule will be like later this week. You guys will just have to stay tuned. I'll keep you updated, but I will take on a little vacation with the family here later this week. So yeah, I'll have to figure that out. Just want to let you know.
There you go. All right, guys. Peace out. Let's go.
Peace. Good show today, man.